Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video. Have you ever dreamed of doing something your whole life only to find out, once you did it, that you hated it? What was it?
Experience 1. Being an EMT. I had planned on it being my lifelong career since middle school. I loved the medical field and wanted to save lives, but knew I wouldn't have the stamina to get through medical school. I got into training as soon as I graduated high school and I was top of my class in the educational sense, but as soon as I started doing ride-alongs, everything just kind of fell apart on me. I didn't fit in well with the firefighters, which sounds stupid, but I think I really needed that brotherhood if I was going to survive in that field. The real problem, however, was my empathy. I knew quickly that I would not be able to see people on their worst days every day. I could deal with broken bones and blood, but I hadn't prepared myself for the screams. On my third ride-along, I responded to a teenage self-deletion, and that was it for me. I work for a museum now, LOL. Experience 2. I want to be an environmental lawyer when I grow up. I'm going to help save the world. Freaking kills me, dude. I don't even have the energy to save myself anymore. Experience 3. All my life I wanted to make cartoons. I fought tooth and nail to reach the top. Then I interned for an old studio in Burbank specializing in cartoons about a certain yellow family. Then, after college, I became a mechanic and never looked back. Experience 4. Blacksmithing. I watched a ton of blacksmithing content on YouTube, got super intrigued, and wanted to build my own setup in the backyard. My father talked me into trying a class before jumping in headfirst, and I am glad I did. My father and I were the only two in the class that day, so we got all the attention from the instructor, which was awesome. He really helped us both perfect our techniques and corrected any mistakes quickly, so we didn't form any bad habits. It was the best instructor I have ever had for anything. The guy was an amazing teacher. He even offered to let us stay for a couple more hours to make another piece, which we took him up on. After all that, an amazing class, 3 metal pieces that I worked on and created by myself by hand, I walked away, dissatisfied. I think metal as a medium just felt very hard to work with. Everything is super hot and dangerous, and I just didn't see myself wanting to ever do it again. I really recommend taking a class to try something out rather than spending time and money to build your own setup for something you may hate. I spent $75 to save thousands. Experience 5. Being the boss of people. Boss is a title, but being an effective leader of people is an emotionally draining, often thankless roller coaster. Experience 6. Music production, which is what I majored in. As soon as I graduated from college, I realized how much I hated sitting in a recording studio doing the same thing over and over again, only to scrap it and do it over again. Turned out to be brutally technical, drawn out and boring with very little reward, and it took all of the fun out of music for me. Even the pros I worked with who were doing objectively well seemed miserable most of the time due to having to work with some truly insufferable people and never getting the recognition they felt they deserved. And half of them were alcoholics, chain smokers, or insomniacs with pronounced depression. Edit. Rather than pursue a career in music production, I focused on enjoying being in a band and got a day job to support my hobby. Turned out to be far more sustainable, and once I got married and had a kid, requiring me to take a step back and focus on my family, I had already established myself at a decent job with benefits. I'm not suggesting this is the path one should take, but almost everyone I know who was trying to make it 20 years ago is still struggling to pay bills and gain traction despite whatever talent or success they've had. What I am suggesting is that if you decide to pursue a career in the arts, have something to fall back on. The industry is brutal, it requires constant networking and long hours, and it is very easy to get burned out. Experience 7. Traveling for work. You spend a lot of time in hotels and rarely get the opportunity to see anything besides that due to flight schedules. And being hungover on an airplane is an awful experience. Experience 8. I grew up feeling passionate about physics and always planned on being a professional physicist. Got my undergrad, started a PhD program, and had a good time in the program before absolutely hating it. The politics, the narrow spectrum of novel research, the terrible grad school pay, being far from home, etc. Got super depressed and had to reevaluate my career, even though I spent so much time on this path. It all wasn't worth a field in which I lost my drive. Ended up leaving the program and working for the government for a few years before returning to grad school for statistics. Best time of my life, and I got a permanent research position at an R1 university in my home state, where I have been to the day. Experience 9. Moving to another country. I loved the romantic idea of moving to a new place and finding out about the culture. Turns out it's expensive, it's complicated, and it's tiring as hell. The only silver lining is that I'll have a few good stories to tell. To no one, since I basically lost all my friends. Experience 10. Being a chef, I left high school in year 10 to get a cert in commercial cookery as I loved cooking and making dishes at home. Loved it for the first few months, then realized how draining it is. I do split shifts 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., then 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., sometimes 9:30 p.m. It's exhausting after doing it for 4 years. You lose your appetite completely. I recently had a knee injury and have been off for a few weeks. It really made my anxiety and depression calm down after not being torn to bits by chefs who have had 20+ years of experience and know everything. It's making me realize I've chosen the wrong career choice. Experience 11. Being a veterinarian. I never became a vet, but one of my first jobs in high school, having wanted to be a vet my whole life, was in a vet clinic. I was ecstatic. Vet clinics are depressing AF. Dogs and cats being hit by cars coming into the clinic in horrendous pain. It always smells like poop from fecal floats, checking for worms, pets that got put down but could have been saved if only their owners could have afforded it. 2 freezers in the basement, one for dead dogs and one for dead cats. They get hauled to the basement freezer in trash bags in case they release waste after they die. I couldn't take it after only a few months and left. Experience 12. Oh man, I can apply this. I went to a college that had a cool machine near one of the lecture halls. It was called an ICAP, Induced Coupled Argon Mass Spectrometer. On the window of the lab it was in, it talked about how the argon torch got as hot as the surface of the sun and how it sublimated rock particles in solution, straight solid to gas, no liquid phase. I found out from the geology department that it was a $2 million machine. I wanted to use it, so I became a geology major and made my senior seminar based on geochemical bedrock analysis. I had to go get samples, crush them, and put them through other machines to make the distillate that the ICAP could run. I finally got to use it. Just to find out it has a closed system, nothing to see, and spit out a database file so old I had to get an external 3/2 floppy USB drive to get the data off it. It was boring to use, and I felt so let down. Experience 13. Being a dog groomer. I love dogs and working with my hands. What a load of crap. Owners are arseholes, and some dogs were arseholes, horrible bosses, and unrealistic targets. You get scratched, bitten, pooped on, and hair gets everywhere, even your eyes. Unless you work for yourself, it's a crap job. Experience 14. I wanted to make it big in tech, like my mother did, who spurred my interest in tech as a child. Then I got into tech and understood my mother survived in tech because she was one of the megadicks that make tech so toxic. Not that I'm here to get along and make money, kind of tech I was. But the "you can't take my promotion from me if I get you fired" kind of tech she was.
Do you like listening to these stories? Do you want to hear more of them? Then click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And check the description for links to more videos and interesting stories.
Experience 15. Well, if you're going to tag it NSFW, I'm going to give you an NSFW response. I always wanted to have a lady go reverse cowgirl on me. The first time a lady was kind enough to indulge me, she either did it incorrectly or it just naturally felt the way it felt because I thought she was going to break my dick off. It was ungodly painful. I tried it that one time and haven't had the courage to ask for it again. Experience 16. I wanted to be an architect, so I became one. Quickly learned that the only people who actually get to be creative are the people who own the firm. The pay sucks and they grind through young architects, but you require a very expensive degree and testing to get your license is expensive and difficult. Very dependent on the economy, and at the first sight of a downturn everyone gets laid off, slow to recover as well, and construction sometimes lags. Long terrible hours doing shit work to make some stupid design some partner thought up actually work in a technical sense for months on end, only to have a client say it's too expensive anyway and you end up with a square glass box. Very deadline driven, like we're digging a hole on Monday so be done or we're all fired, so high stress for crap pay. Experience 17. I heard this story from a friend and have no reason to believe it's fake, but I never met any of the people involved. There's a couple. The husband really wanted a threesome their entire marriage. The wife always refused, at least partially because they had a kid, and she didn't want their sexcapades to affect the child in any way. Fast forward 20 years or so, the kids are all out of the house, and the husband keeps bringing it up, not sure he ever stopped, really. The wife just so happened to have a coworker that she was becoming really good friends with, who she also found very attractive, and so one day, prior to the husband's birthday, the wife asked her coworker if she would be down to join her and her husband. The coworker said yes. Husband's birthday, the wife surprises him with the threesome. Afterwards, the husband's reaction was,
"Well, that wasn't really the mind-blowing experience I expected it to be. Oh well, my wife is awesome for doing that for me."
Now, I might be missing a few details here, but the wife realized she enjoyed being with the other woman far more than she enjoyed being with her husband. She ended up leaving her husband and is now in a committed relationship with a coworker. Experience 18. I thought I'd be a practicing psychologist, but I had a very idealistic view of it. Like the patient lying on the couch, telling you about their life problems, then you are telling them something and giving them a breakthrough. Mental illness cured. I did complete my psych undergrad, and I loved the subject matter, but after doing my internship at Child and Family Services, it was very clear to me that I wasn't cut out for clinical work. I certainly would have burned out and barely made enough money to live as a caseworker. I got my master's in human-computer interaction and user experience and made my career in tech, which was a great decision. I have nothing but respect for the boots-on-the-ground social workers, but I'm going to continue to read books about psychology instead of working on it. Experience 19. I know it sounds stupid, but mine was a shopping spree. My family never really had much money, so I could go out on a shopping spree with friends, and if I did go out with them, I was always the one left holding the bags or feeling left out. When I did manage to get a few things for myself on occasion, like if I had a birthday or Christmas money, it was always what others wanted me to, never wear anything for myself that I truly loved. I felt weird because I was always told girls are meant to love shopping like my friends did, but I just hated it and chalked it up to not having much cash and being dragged from store to store. I came into some money years ago and was able to have a shopping spree. I decided to go alone so I could buy what I wanted without others' influence, but I hated it still. I couldn't justify the prices I knew my friends would spend, and I felt so overwhelmed by everything. I also found being alone, I could be honest with myself, especially with nobody pushing me to buy their style, and I very quickly realized I was quite alternative or gothic and none of the shops fit my style. I left overwhelmed, sad, and disappointed and realized I never felt off because I didn't have money or felt left out. I felt off because I really didn't like shopping or crowds and I was not accepting my true style. Experience 20. Spent 6 years of my life in choir, thinking I wanted to be an opera singer or perform in musicals. Got to my first year of college as a vocal performance major and realized I wasn't actually willing to learn most of what was required. I had never played an instrument or taken lessons on it before, so I was crap at music theory. Then I had to take a piano class, which I was also crap at, with 3 more years of those to expect in the future. I didn't have the same kind of flamboyant music kid personality as all my classmates, so I had a difficult time getting along with everyone. The only thing I had was a good voice, but I without any interest in anything other than actively singing. I finally realized that it wasn't the career path for me and that I didn't want to become famous or deal with the BS that comes along with trying to get consistent work in that industry. I found that I enjoy singing most when my husband is having a difficult time and I can help him fall asleep at night by just singing his favorite song. He's knocked out by the time I finish the first stanza usually. Makes me feel like I didn't waste all that time for nothing.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's stories. If you want to see more stories, check out these videos or check the links in the description for more videos. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And ring that notification bell.